Good evening, everybody. Hello there, wherever you are. My name is Paul. It's Sunday night. It's just gone 11. And earlier tonight, as you may or may not know if you've been following me for a while, I saw tonight's episode of Doctor Who, the BBC's adventure about a time-travelling friendly alien who's got a time machine in a police box. Just so you know, my name is Paul, and I've been watching this series for several years. And I've been posting these videos about Series 12 just recently. I also do film reviews, and I talk about other TV shows as well. You may want to check out my blog posts on Knickknacks So Peculiar, or my videos here on Mr. Cuddy 2977 channel on YouTube. Welcome aboard. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here late at night. But let me, at least if nothing else, as it is late and I'd like to go to bed, let me try and give you a summary of tonight's episode. It's Series 12, Episode 9, and the episode is called Ascension of the Cybermen. Ascension of the Cybermen opens with an opening narration from a shard, the lone Cyberman himself, explaining how the Cyber Empire, the empire of might and terror, has fallen, but that's how that which is dead can live again in the hands of a believer. Quoting from that narration there. It's very, very Lovecraftian, that, actually. Cue the titles. There's that lovely shot of a Cyberman's head and focusing into the eye, and then cutting to the titles. Quite good, I thought. And after the titles, we move to Rural Island. We're not too sure when. We're not given a time when. But we move to Rural Island, where an unnamed child is found in the streets by an unnamed farmer, who, along with his wife, decide to adopt the child and call him Brendan, bright red hair. The scene shifts as the child grows, learns to ride a bicycle, falls ill, and needs a doctor. Cue the segue into many years into the future, where the Doctor herself, Jodie Whittaker, is several hundred years away from Rural Island, and in the company of Graham, Yaz and Ryan, Bradley Walsh, Mandeep Gill and Tosin Cole, is on a planet ruined by the Cyber Wars. It's inhabited by Ravio, Ko and Fearcap, some of the last remaining human beings left alive on this side of the universe. Remnants very familiar with cyber technology after centuries of war, and remnants ready to run from any incoming cyber ships and cyber drones, as the last few Cybermen, led by a shard, get ready to attack. It's the last few humans left on Earth, or we assume that's where it is, flee on the last remaining ship, leaving the Doctor, Ryan, and one human called Ethan, played by Matt Carver, I should stress, I think if I've got that right, to get an unused cyber ship to get to the mythical Koshamas in McElhinney. The only safe way to get away from the Cybermen is to find what everyone calls the boundary. Now, what, you might ask, did I think of Ascension of the Cybermen? Well, I've got to admit, this is something I think I liked, this episode, from that vaguely Lovecraftian narration at the opening of the episode. The Doctor and the team's failed attempt to protect the last humans, the Cybermen themselves. That's just the bare bones of one story thread here. The initial mystery, who is Brendan? The episode shows us a child found under strange circumstances. We follow his life from growing up as a child on a rural Irish farm, joining the Gardaid, the Irish police, I hope I've got that right, to a retirement complete with a carriage clog. and a retirement where he is mysteriously taken back into the Gardai station, the police station, by his father, seemingly, and by the police sergeant that has brought him up and trained him, to be plugged into what looks like an otherwise innocent radio set, a vintage radio set. This, after being shot in the chest and thrown off a cliff as a result of that shot, and seemingly killed, he's revived in a way that seems very reminiscent of a certain Captain J. Harkness. Let that sink in. Who or what Brendan is, we don't know. We're not told. We don't find out in this episode. I suspect that we will find out what's happening in next week's episode, which is called The Timeless Children. Might be a bit of a clue to what's going on there. The Cybermen themselves. I have to admit, I watched Earthshock a couple of days ago, a day or two ago, and have to admit, design-wise, this bunch of Cybermen, the styling of the helmet, the way the handles come down, reminded me very much of the Earthshock era designs, with a touch of the Revenge era look as well. They also, in the design of the spaceship they're on, and the green lighting that was used, they vaguely reminded me of Star Trek's Borg as well this season, at least notionally. There was one or two comments I can remember vaguely seeing on Wikipedia that have since, if they were there, been taken down, that said that Star Trek's writers had loosely based the Borg on the Cybermen, or at least saw the Borg as a parallel, as a development of their version of the same sort of ideas. Who knows? I couldn't tell you. I really couldn't. But that's the way my memory's going, is that Star Trek have taken that idea. And it seems possibly that in this episode, it's feeding back into Doctor Who. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Who knows? But the look of the carrier, the look of that spaceship was something I found vaguely evocative of the Borg and of Earthshock. Now I come to it, I can mentally imagining you out there watching me in here. I can mentally hear you saying, Paul, what did you think? Did you like Ascension of the Cybermen?
3, 2, 1.
Yes, I did. Thanking you very much, actually. I'm not sure I'm totally stunned by it. I think Can You Hear Me and The Haunting of the Villa Diodati were better individual episodes. But this episode, Ascension of the Cybermen, it has that same tone I found very attractive in the Villa of Haunting, or The Haunting of Villa Diodati. There's that tone, that dark note that's partway between the Philip Hinchcliffe, Robert Holmes era of Doctor Who back in the 70s, and a hell of a lot of Ian M. Banks' culture novel. There's that very similar dark, big space opera sort of feel to it. And I like that. I like the way that's presented. Don't get me wrong. I feel there's better episodes around than the Ascension of the Cybermen. That is not to say it's a bad episode. It's a very well written, beautifully done, very watchable episode. Extremely watchable. I'm also aware that the BBC continuity announcer tonight said that tonight's episode is part one of 2 episodes, of a 2-episode finale. I'm going to disagree there. I actually think it's episode 2 of a 3-part arc. That's possibly why I'm not completely stunned with it. I think the finale, next week's episode, The Timeless Children, that's going to be a big finish for this series. We're going to have to see. At any rate, thank you for watching this little review of mine. Thank you for putting up with me burbling on for minutes at a time. Please hit hit dislike if you must, hit subscribe so you can comment, and please feel free to keep watching and feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of tonight's show and what I felt about it. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a good evening. Take care. Be seeing you.